Alright guys, welcome back to the garage just after 5 p.m. end of the workday, and we've popped out to the garage to play around a little bit. Doc had asked me to take some pictures of the steering wheel and the shift knob, so I think he's in the market for a new wooden shift knob. Here is the current shift knob that came off the car from the factory. It is not wood, it's just plastic painted to look like wood. So I guess you could call that faux painted. It's not actually even very good. It's just basically brush marks and some brown paint. Anyway, I think Doc's looking at getting a wooden shift knob. So he wanted me to take some pictures of what the current setup looked like. I do have two knobs that Doc sent me. So maybe I'll put those on there just for fun so you can see what they look like. I'm sure Doc would appreciate to see what they look like on the car. Maybe he's going to change his mind if he sees the two knobs that he sent me on the car. One is a billet, sort of a billet aluminum or a polished chrome look shift knob, and the other one's a black plastic knob, very plain, I think from the earlier cars. So we'll put those on there just to see what they look like. In the meantime, I did get my flasher unit in. I actually ordered it from Rock Auto. It arrived today, so I think what we'll do is we'll stick the flasher in and see if that works, and see if the flashers actually work. So this is just an EFL2 flasher, and apparently it's stock. It doesn't look like the flasher that came out of it. I'll show it to you when we pop it on the car. It does have the 3-spade hookup, so I did make note of what wires were hooked up to what spades when I removed the old flasher unit. Hopefully we can get the new one wired up fairly easily and check to see if the signal lights actually work on this car. So we can do that now. Alright, new flasher is installed, and there's what it looks like. So let's give her a shot here. Shut the door to cut off the annoying buzzer. Well, I can hear it flashing. Alright. Gotta love it. You can see the rear is working as well. Let's try the other side. So nice to have things working. The rear works. Alright, looking good. Let's see if the hazards actually work. And that would be this switch here, I think. And that is no bueno, unless the car needs to be running, which I doubt. So that needs further investigation, let's say. Let's figure out what's going on there. Again, maybe I just need to take that switch out, play around with the contacts a little bit. Alright guys, I've just gone inside and brought out the two knobs that Doc has sent to me. As mentioned, this is the earlier gear shift knob, which is a very plain black, I don't know if this is plastic or Bakelite or something like that, but anyway, it's just very plain. It's got a rubber bush that secures it onto the gear shaft, or the gear lever, or whatever you want to call it. So that is one option. Then there's a billet version of that, which has got some nice weight to it. It's nicely finished, and this gets secured onto the gear selector by the use of these 3 set screws in here. There is one more option that I've offered to Doc, and that's to try and refinish this. This is like a plastic or Bakelite. Again, I'm not sure what this is actually made out of. Obviously faux painted from the factory, so I possibly could try to refinish this in faux paint and maybe clear coat over top of that to keep it from wearing like it has. Anyway, I've offered that as a suggestion to Doc, so we'll see what he says if he wants me to attempt to try to fix this up to make it look a little bit better. I told him that in the process I may end up destroying it, so there's no guarantees I can make this actually look better than it does currently. So I'll wait for Doc's reply before I buy some acrylic paint and some clear coat to try and make this look a little bit better. In the meantime, we're going to install these just to see what they look like. We'll just install them temporarily and just take a little bit of video and a few photos so I can just send Doc what they look like with those two knobs in place of the stock knob and see what his thoughts are on those. Alright, here is the early shifter knob installed, just loosely. It hasn't been pushed all the way down on the shaft, but that's what it looks like. So very bone basic, but it doesn't look too bad, I guess. Kind of looks like it belongs there, but nothing to write home about. Let's try the billet one on there just for fun. Alright, there is the billet shift knob installed, and I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I'll let you decide. I was mentioning to Doc that I'm kind of funny with my shift knobs. I actually have on my TR250 and my TR6, I've actually got billet aluminum shift knobs that go with. On my TR6 I've got a wood wheel. On my TR250 I've got a leather wrapped wheel, and I have billet shift knobs. So I don't know, I guess that's not to everybody's taste, but I'll let you mention in the comments which you like or dislike about the chrome or the billet knob on the Alfa Romeo. I'll just shift this down, get a better look at it. There you go. Let me take a few still photos of that so I can send them to Doc, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, Sunday the 16th of January 2022, back out in the garage for a few minutes anyway. It's cold out here. It's about 3 degrees Celsius, so about, I don't know, 36 degrees Fahrenheit. Haven't been out in a couple of days. Yesterday was minus 24 outside, so it was pretty chilly out here and pretty drafty. I never did get to insulating the garage doors, so the wind sort of just whips through the, you know, the sides of the garage doors and around the top of the door, so it gets pretty drafty out here. So we're going to do a little bit of a arts and craft project, but we're going to move that project indoors today and work on the coffee table in front of the TV and the fireplace. We're continuing to work on the shift knob project, and we've got the original shift knob here, and we've decided that we're going to try and faux paint this wood grain to match the color of the wheel. And as mentioned before, the color does not exactly match currently. It's quite a reddish maroon color versus the brown, although the brown has a bit of a red tone to it as well, but they are not a very close match currently. And realistically, I don't know how closely I'll be able to get this to match the steering wheel anyway, but we'll give it a better shot. And again, I'm definitely not an artist, so we will see whether we can actually get this to look any better than it does currently. There's no harm in trying, I guess, and that's what sandpaper is for. If we don't like it, we can scratch it off and try again. But we'll do our best. I did buy some arts and crafts supplies, and I've got a bag full of paints over here. We are going to clear coat this in the end, so hopefully it'll stand up to a bit more wear. Anyway, let me move inside, and we'll set you up there, and we'll break out the paintbrushes and the paint and see what we can do as far as getting this to look sort of faux wood grain. Alright, we're inside on the coffee table, and we're just about to start the project. So again, here's what we're starting with. So it is a plastic gear shift knob. I'm surprised actually they didn't put a nice wood knob in from the factory, but it is a plastic knob. So obviously it's got some wear there from usage over the years, and the base paint that was painted on here, which was I guess an attempt at some sort of faux finish painting by the factory, has worn off. But that's what we're starting with, and we're hoping to make that look a little bit better. Again, I have never done this before. I'm definitely not an arts and craft types person, so this may be a major failure, but I have a feeling that I can't make it really much worse than what it is already. So that's why we're going to attempt to do this project, and that's what sandpaper is for, right? You can always sand stuff off if it doesn't work out and start again. So let's start with materials. So sandpaper, I've got a 220 grit and a 400 grit. We're just going to scratch this surface lightly so that the paint will stick to it. We've got a couple of different paints here. These are acrylic paints, and I've got two different browns. We've got a brown, or a burnt umber, and then we've got a milk chocolate. So I think the milk chocolate will be the base color on this shift knob, and the burnt umber will be the top color, with probably a little bit, I've got some acrylic Krylon here that I'm going to add into this burnt umber to make it a little bit more reddish, sort of more reddish in appearance like this. This is way too red. It doesn't match the steering wheel at all, but we're going to go for something like that, which has a bit of red mixed into it. So that's what I've taken as far as the color of the wheel is concerned, and we'll try to match it closely, or fairly closely, to something like that. Again, as mentioned, this is not going to be, or is not intended to be, an exact match to the wheel, but we'll get it closer than what the factory actually did. I did get some white in case I needed to lighten some of these colors, and I did get some black in case I needed to darken some. So I kind of wish that I'd gotten a maroon or a wine color, but again, that's what I've got the red here for, is to tint the brown. So hopefully that's going to work. We are going to clear coat it, so I've got a high gloss UV resistant clear coat, and I figure that will help with the wear and tear on this shift knob upon usage if I put 3 to 4 coats of clear coat on here, and that's going to make it, it's going to seal obviously the acrylic in, and it should give it a little bit more longevity and be a little bit more resistant to wear than the factory shift knob was. Got some alcohol here just to clean things up as we go along after it's sanded, for example. And we have a vise here to work with. We've got our basically a kitchen spatula jammed into the end, so I can sort of pick it up and turn it as required, or hold it in the vise, depends. Again, we've got a mixture of brushes here. Everything from some fairly coarse brushes, which I think I'll be using to do the graining, to some finer brushes, which will probably be used to paint. So I'm going to repaint the numbers here, or the shift pattern on top of the knob. So we'll see how that works out. We may even break out the toothpicks to help us do that, but we shall see as we move along. So, all right, let's get started. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to do a light sanding on this before we start the paint process, and we'll come back after that's done. All right, we've got it sanded down with 220 grit, and that's what it looks like. I think it's sort of dulled it up just a little bit. We got a bit of a decision to make here at the top. The way the factory did the painting here at the top, they kind of left a little bit of white around the numbers and the shift pattern, and I think we're going to have to do that just to give some definition to it. So we won't be doing a wood grain all the way to the edge of the black here. We'll just keep it a little white on the outside like that. So yeah, it's a tough call. I was thinking about going right up to the numbers, but I think what we'll have to do is we'll have to do like the factory did it. So anyway, I guess the next thing for me to do now, you saw me clean it off with the rubbing alcohol. So the next thing to do is to hit it with a solid base coat, and we're going to use that milk chocolate brown to do that. So we'll start with that anyway. See how that turns out. All right, quick look after the first step of that base coat of the milk chocolate paint. I did blacken in the numbers on top, and I did sort of clearance around them with a toothpick, just scraping around to retain that white around the outside. So I'm going to go on to the next step, which is going to be the brown, the burnt umber with some red added to it, and we're going to switch to a coarser brush, and we're going to go to a dry brush to basically just add some color and some texture over the top of this base coat paint. Let's give that a shot and see what it looks like. All right, guys, we've gone ahead with that second coat of paint, which is the umber that's been tinted with the red, and we've just done a dry brush technique on it, and we also use some paper towels to do some wiping here and there. I think you can see the wood grain sort of texture that I've been going for in there. So I guess it's not a bad first attempt. So I think what we'll do is we'll let this dry, and we'll apply some clear coat and see what it looks like after the clear coat has been applied. Alright guys, we've sprayed it with 3 coats of clear, and we've just got the heat gun here on low, just trying to dry it up a little bit more quickly, give it a little bit more heat. So I think it's looking not too bad. Again, I don't know if you can see that grain that's in there or not, but we'll have a better look at it once it's dry and once it's back on the car, and see how closely we got it to match the actual steering wheel. Again, not going for an exact match, just going for something that looks a little bit better than what it did. So hopefully this will fit the ticket. Well, now Monday, and as you can probably see, we're having a bit of a snow day today. So I'm just suited up to come out and start shoveling. Still snowing pretty hard. I just heard the plow go by. So, yeah. Doesn't seem to be too heavy of a snow yet, so we'll get out here and we'll at least start shoveling, and I'm sure we'll have to make it for a round 2 later on. Unfortunately, still snowing hard outside, and that's going to mean that I need to shovel again. Anyway, we are back out in the garage, and we're going to check on the gear shift knob project. So here it is the day after, all dried up, nicely clear coated, and we're just about to do a quick check here on color, a color comparison with the existing wheel. So are you ready to see this and see how we did? So there is the wheel, and see if I can get some light on it. And there is the shift knob. So I guess it's not too bad. I guess the shift knob's a little bit lighter, and that's fairly close there on the top, and it fades a little bit to being a little bit lighter. But I would say that's not too bad. It's definitely closer than what the factory was. So let's stick it on the car and let's have a look. But there you go, comparison wise. Real wood versus fake wood. How did I do? Alright guys, here's the big reveal with the gear shift knob back in place. And I'll be interested to read your comments in the comments section. I don't think it doesn't look too bad. Like I said, it looks better than the stock shifter knob that was in there. So there's a look from the top side. Maybe I'll wander around to the passenger side so you can have a look. You wander around the passenger side here. I'll have a look at it from that side. There you go. So, there you go. One more project down. So let me know what you think. That's it for now, guys. Back to shoveling.